Call Nikki Kay.
Mr Speaker, I'm very pleased to support this electronic identity verification bill. Can I start by acknowledging the new Minister, Amy Adams? She's a superb individual who's going to do a very good job, is doing a very good job, and it's good to see her speaking on this bill. I also want to pay tribute as well to the Government Administration Committee. As a former Deputy Chair of that committee, I often have thought that perhaps the House does not realise some of the important work that that committee does, and this is an example of the important work that the Government Administration Committee does. The first thing I'd like to say is this is part of a wider modernising agenda, and as a youngish member of this Parliament, acknowledge Chris Hipkins over there, another youngish member of this Parliament, just want to acknowledge this government's agenda in terms of modernising our Parliament, but also our government services. And as many young people talk to me about the fact that a lot of their interaction with politicians, with government services, is online, whether it is through our significant investment in terms of our broadband package, or whether it is through a bill like this, which is saying to New Zealanders and to many young New Zealanders that we are going to make it easier for you to interact with government and politicians. And I think that's a very important point and a very important purpose of this bill. A couple of other points that I'd like to make about this bill is that we know that the real heart of this bill is about balancing the protection of people's personal privacy while making it easier for them to interact with government services. And I had the fortunate experience of working in the Department of Constitutional Affairs in the area of data protection when I was in the United Kingdom. And one of the things that I realised over there, and I don't think a lot of New Zealanders realise, but how world-leading we were when we brought in the Official Information Act. And I really hope and I believe with the current Minister, Amy Adams, that this is part of a wider agenda to ensure that our government is keeping up with the pace of technology and ensuring that data is protected, personal information is protected of the individual, while also ensuring that as much as possible we can make government services more easily accessible to New Zealanders. I want to touch on one particular clause. Clause 4, and I think that is a very important clause because it cuts to the heart of the principle of the National Party in terms of freedom. So this is an optional service. This is not something that would be forced on New Zealanders, but it is there for those New Zealanders that want to engage more online and have confidence that their interactions, and they want to be able to save their time and not have to do a lot of these different interactions with different government agencies. But it really does emphasise that important principle of the National Party, which is freedom, because it is not, this is an optional service. The second point that I'd like to make is around the savings. So not only is this about, and I heard from member Chris Farfoy, as a constituency MP, he knows how many people come to your office and spend time going around various offices and various government agencies having to verify themselves several different times. This is about making it easier for individual New Zealand citizens to not have to spend that time and that money doing it. But it is also about saving government departments money. And at a time whereby we have difficult financial services, I was very pleased to read, I can't tell you which page, but of the regulatory impact statement. A statement which very clearly said that over a 10-year period, and I think this is quite phenomenal, over a 10-year period, this could save New Zealanders between 385 to 527 million. So I think that's something that we should celebrate as we progress this to the Select Committee, that not only could this save individuals' time, but it could also save significantly government departments' time. So this bill is not only about government savings, it's about modernising our government services into a 21st century. It's about making it more accessible for all New Zealanders, but particularly the next generation of New Zealanders. But also it is that balance of ensuring that the individual has the power to correct their own information, and there is nothing more violating than having your information either abused or have incorrect information about you. And I think that is one of the other wonderful things about this piece of legislation, is that it enables the individual to have that power over access to their own information. So I'm very pleased to support this bill to the House under the esteemed leadership of the new Minister, Amy Adams. Thank you.
I understand the next call is a split call for 5 minutes between Labour and the Greens. I will ring a bell with 1 minute to go. Chris Hipkins.
Thank you.